Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
This is Project Command. Stand by at power transfer.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Welcome back to the Rocket Roof Show. I am covering for Andrew Neer, and today we have Andrew Klips here. He has a very interesting background, so I'll let him go ahead and kick this off.
Hey, Jonathan, thanks for having me.
Sure thing.
Specific to the Rocket Roof Show, I come from a background in construction. Fortunate to have a father that was kind of hands-on in all areas growing up, teaching me as a kid. Then a brother that was into custom millwork when I was early teenager. One thing led to another, even going to OU for 4 years. I ended up in the construction space, running crews, mostly commercial jobs as a superintendent, till I was doing some Wall Street stuff in the background while doing that I was working a lot at night doing commercial jobs. Next thing I knew, I actually fell down my stairs moving into a house, and they said no using your arm for about 6 months after the surgery, and I kind of went full time into this space in the meantime to keep making ends meet. And here I am, 15 years later doing it full time and away from construction. Although I will say with the whole COVID thing, I've actually got back on my tools a little bit to do some projects around the house. And it's been a lot of fun working with my hands again. Oh,
fantastic. So in a time right now, what are some of the tools and advice that you can give contractors that are in the, say, $500,000 to $10 million a year revenue range?
Well, I think that, using every avenue that you can to try and take a negative and turn it into a positive. Fortunately, the roofing space is one of those things where, let's call it a little bit of discretionary spending where you can decide to replace a roof. But there's been a lot of travel plans, things like that have been, obviously negated because of COVID. So I think that the business is there's still opportunities there. And I think you try and take a negative and turn it into a positive and try and grow. We specialize in tailoring deals for companies, like you say, from, $500,000 to $10 million, depending on whatever their needs are. So, the advice is to do whatever you can to continue to grow in a time of trouble. And there's things like the payroll protection loans that were available. The lenders are back open. They kind of closed down for a little bit. We worked with a lot of different family offices, specialty lenders, banks. Obviously, they became pretty risk adverse there for a little while when the whole COVID thing kind of hit a peak. They're back lending again. I would encourage exploring anything you can along those lines to continue to grow. That's one thing that we do is we work hands-on with what we call our funded partners to help them find money if they continue to grow, even in a time of adversity like this.
For sure. Can you share some thoughts on the Paycheck Protection Program?
I think it's fantastic. I think that any company that needs those funds should certainly have applied by now to try and get them and hopefully receive them by now. I think that, I'm no expert in that space, but my understanding is that it's going to be treated an awful lot as a grant rather than a loan, as long as you use it for payroll. So there can be some money to help people get through for a couple months, 2.5 months. And I think that, mind your P's and Q's and make sure that the money's going where it's supposed to be going, and certainly use it to try and help your business stay alive, keep people employed, and keep business going. I think it's a great thing.
We'd like to take just a quick break to thank our sponsor, Top Roof Marketing, a full-service marketing group that specializes in the commercial roofing industry. If you're looking to boost the commercial side of your business, they have lots of ideas to connect you with building owners who are looking for help. Visit toproofmarketing.com.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I know a lot of our viewers have questions about the program, and there's a lot of confusion for those that don't have a good CPA or someone to rely on. One of the other questions I wanted to ask during our interview here is, what have you done for roofers in the past? Just to kind of give them an idea of what you could personally provide, with your organization.
Right. We've done several things with roofers. Again, that's been kind of one of those areas there's always business there and always available. And I think one thing that we kind of specialize in is tailoring and catering to whatever a roofer needs. I think that people need to realize it's not just about the dollar amount. It's also about the time frame. Some loans you can get done in a couple of days. Some loans they can take literally months. An SBA loan is obviously it's a great loan, but it's ones you can be looking at 4 or 6 months to get accomplished. So what we do is work with several different roofers with finding them loans, and we found them everywhere from conventional loans to MCAs to work with them on small business loans. We really try to cater to whatever will best fit their needs. We try to serve as an advisory capacity as well as just a inside of a box, type of lender like most are out there.
Got it. And so who's providing the money for the loans, and what are they looking for in terms of qualification?
Well, it's a bit of a two-step process. The loans ultimately end up coming from, we work with a lot of family offices across the country, have a pretty extensive network. Our background in institutional banking has afforded that network over the years. So it comes from family offices, it can come from a specialty lender, it can come from a traditional bank. It depends on what's the best fit for the potential client. I'm sorry, was the other part of your question, Jonathan?
Oh, what they're looking for before they approve a loan?
Okay. So that's where the loans come from. In order to get there, the process starts. We have a pretty simple application. We have about 5 or 6 different bullet point items, accounts receivables, payables, taxes, simple things like that every business should have access to if they're operating legitimately. So we take it first, we assess it internally, decide what we meet with our client, decide what we believe is the best pathway forward, what will be the best fit for them. It could be somebody coming and saying, look, I'd really like to do a conventional loan, but they don't have the credentials, they don't have the fundamentals to support that. So we'll try and work on a game plan with them to say, hey, look, here's what we need to do first, here's what we need to do second, here's our 3-month goal, 6-month goal, 1-year goal to get you guys to where you need to be. So the process begins and ends with us, but obviously there's there's our financial our lenders and partners that are involved to make the whole thing happen.
Right. So one of the things I also want to ask you about were the capital loan emails and direct mail and calls and just all these different offers we're getting, that were pre-approved for up to, a certain number of millions of dollars or this or that. Can you share just a little bit more on why there's such a big boom of that here in the last year or two? Is that something that one of our listeners should look into, or do you have any advice or concerns about them?
Well, obviously we're well aware of them. We have friends and family that are in businesses too, and they tell us same thing. Gee, Sandy, I see a lot of these. I get them every day, phone calls and emails. Again, I think that a lot of those, they're what I would only call inside of a box. Those guys have a very precise formula that they're looking for, and let's just say a roofing contractor would need to fall into that. Typically, they are MCAs, which are merchant cash advances. They carry a higher interest rate, typically short payoff period time. They're, again, merchant cash advance in itself kind of explains what it is. It's just giving you a quick lift because, the roofing industry, obviously, it's a very capital intensive industry. In order to continually keep making payrolls, buying material, bid jobs, potential upkeep on your building, things like that. Not to mention any marketing expenses. It's a capital intensive job that a lot of times runs at relatively low margins. So MCAs are pretty common in that space. So I think that a lot of those people that you're working with, they're seeing that because those lenders will see that as a good target, if you will, to come after them. But again, they are very inside of a box. They have a very precise formula that they use. We were clearly differentiated from them in what we do with taking a more hands-on approach, trying to work with the company to keep them. If you have to do an MCA, then okay, you have to do an MCA, but the goal was to get you into a more traditional type of financing so your cost of capital is reduced over time.
Understood. So are there any types of loans to avoid?
Well, that's a bit of a loaded question, if you will, because it's always situational. Everybody has different qualifications to pick up a loan. Again, whether it's an SBA, whether it's an MCA, two things at complete opposite ends of the spectrum or anywhere in between. That's why you need to have some sort of capital advisor with experience to work with you to say, hey, don't just jump on this one. You know what? Let's evaluate this, and this first and decide what we think is the best move. So avoiding any loan, depending upon your need, is, again, that's a tricky situation. You're going to have to do what you have to do if you have to have the money. But having your next step after that is what's really important. So it's again, you can't keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. Your business is obviously doomed. So it's about, what we can do to work together. So I think avoiding loans, not necessarily avoiding certain lenders without a game plan. I'd say that's more of a fair assessment of what somebody needs to do.
Gotcha. And I do realize, a lot of this takes a custom analysis, and not everything is, good for everyone. What would be a good way for a contract?
A lot of those are in a box. That's what I mean. A lot of them, it's a six item questionnaire, and they'll fill it out and they'll spit it back out and go, here you get $200,000. You know what I mean? And they don't make it sound like your payment is relatively reasonable. But if you look at what the interest rate really is, you better understand. You just need to understand what you're taking on, not just look at that dollar amount and get I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for there is. Just get completely entrenched in, I have this money now to move forward.
For sure. So what would be the best way for a contractor to get a hold of you, just to discuss this a little bit further?
Well, we have the barrettedge.com, or I could be reached at 646-863-7121, extension 122.
Fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to add? I definitely don't want to miss anything here. We really appreciate you being on the show.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Obviously, you and I know each other for a long time. It's great to do this together. I think what you're doing with the roofing industry is spectacular. I'm very glad to see the network that you guys have built. And if there's anything we can do to help and help those businesses grow, that's what we're experts in is growth capital, and growth capital at the best possible rate. We're one of the few companies that I know of that actually goes in and tries to negotiate tries to go in and negotiate the underwriting to get you the best terms. And really, that's why we consider them funded partners. We want to see those companies grow. The best business is repeat business for us, and that's what we want. That's what we strive for.
Yeah, and it definitely shows. It's been great, interacting with you and a couple different businesses and different things over the last probably almost 8 years now. So I was very excited to have you on the show. And I know a lot of contractors out there could do more if they had more, but it's a little scary, getting into this side. I know that credit cards and such are used quite a bit, and supplier relationships, but sometimes you need a little bit more than that in order to achieve your goals or, hit higher heights faster. So we're really glad to have this episode here. I think it'll be replayed for a long time to come. Thanks again for all your time.
Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Take care, man.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.